Hi, everyone. So, today I'm going to talk about something that many parents are struggling, especially. I just have a pretty interesting appointment this past week. So, obviously, you're all here because you're interested in like getting your kids to eat better, learning about other ways besides medication to treat your child's ADHD, or you're here because of you or someone else, maybe not your kids, your grandkids. But I get a lot of comments from parents that, oh yeah, that sounds really good, like all this healthy food, but my child just doesn't eat those. And and the thing is, all picky eaters, they're picky for a reason. And it's not like they're born like that, right? If they're born picky eaters, then that means that when they're a baby, they won't even take a bottle. But when they were a baby, you give them a bottle or put them at your breast and they start eating. So then what happened between the first year and then with the transition and all that? So there are many good explanation to that. I see. So my experience with picky eaters are mostly with the feeding clinic. So I work in a big teaching hospital here and we run a feeding clinic. So we see a lot of like super picky eaters, like some that I know a lot of you probably think that your child is like the pickiest person in the world, but I've seen like some kids who can't even put food in their mouth. Like they'll look at food or even just smelling the food, they start throwing up. Or sometimes like we have very severe cases that the child just won't even eat anything at all by mouth and we have to put a feeding tube in and that's how they get most of the nutrition from. So so basically, I'm just telling you that I have a lot of experience with working with picky kids, and I've seen a lot of like common mistakes that parents make. Very simple mistakes that you can correct right away, and you can get your kid to start eating more. But I'll talk about that later. But I want to go back to this interesting one because when parents come to us in the feeding clinic or come to me, because usually the doctors refer them to me first, just to see if there's anything that I can help them with before we refer them to the feeding clinic where the child will be seen by the whole team, five, six, seven specialists all together. So a lot of times when parents come, their thought is that I'm going to fix your child, right? Because you're thinking that, oh yeah, my kid is a picky eater. So maybe you can talk to him, talk to her, maybe they'll listen to you because you're the expert and someone that who's not mom or dad, maybe they'll listen to you. And that's what happened to this last deployment. That's why I want to share this with you today here because and that's exactly what the mom came here for. She's like, I thought this appointment is for my child, like for you to change my child because he was the picky eater. He doesn't want to eat any of the food that I eat or that I make. But I realized that it is me that I need to change. So that's why I want to share this today. Oh, Heather's here. Hi, Heather. Hi. So I'm just talking about picky eaters. So you can type in your question later on if you want. But yeah, and then if you can turn off your speaker for now. Hi. So yeah, so I'm just talking about like a patient that I have, a picky eater that I have this past week. So yeah, so the mom basically was kind of surprised that she thinks that she's coming in and I'm gonna help change her child, make him turn him from a picky eater and decided that, oh yeah, I'm gonna start eating everything that my mom makes. But then she realized that is more on her part. So so usually I start out my appointment with asking a lot of questions like, okay, how's the child's pickiness? Can you elaborate on that? Like what he'll eat, what will he not eat, and how's mealtime like? So mom start answering all those questions and when I ask her, oh, so how's usually mealtime like? Yeah, you're the only one for now. So she's like, oh yeah, I'm just because they have three kids total, and this is actually the middle child. And when she came in, she brought in the 2-year-old as well. And my first thought is, oh, maybe he being picky because the the baby was born. Because a lot of times when there's a new family members, new babies, new sisters, new sibling, that change the family dynamic. And sometimes we'll see that um, kids start changing their behavior or doing something different that is new when the new sibling comes just to get more attention. So that's kind of my first thought when they came in. And then as mom described how mealtime usually was, like, so mealtime, so first, flat out, mom was very adamant that, oh, I don't make anything different for anyone. Whatever I make, that's what everyone is eating. So I was like, okay. And then she started describing what she eat or what she makes. So she's a stay-home mom with 3 kids, husband active duty, working like over 12 hours every day. So he basically a spouse is barely there. So she takes care of 3 kids all by herself, and she make everything from scratch. Um, so she said, so and they just moved to Hawaii about a year ago. So she was like, okay, it's actually pretty stressful for us moving here to Hawaii because we live in this place that a lot of the ingredients I use for my cooking is not available. So I find that very stressful. So, but I didn't go into more asking her what kind of ingredients you're looking for, like what's so special that you cannot find, right? But I'm just listening, trying to listen for like some clues. So, and then she said like she pretty much makes everything from scratch, is always healthy diet. She watch everyone's eating. There's no sugar in the house. But the problem of the child is that he doesn't like any of her cooking. What he likes is all the junk food according to her. So so then he tried to get the child to answer my question and ask, hey, can you tell this lady what do you like? And then he's kind of shy, right? I forgot how old he is. 6, 7 years old. So he kind of like smiled a little bit and didn't want to share with me what he likes. And it's probably because the food that he likes, the mom has been telling him that, oh yeah, those are bad food. You shouldn't be eating this. So he probably get lectured every time that he mentioned those foods. So he was very shy to tell me what he likes. So which is fine. And then yeah, so a lot of the thing that is more about the mom because it's basically the mom just want him to eat the healthy food. But then what caught my attention was so the mom was making everything from scratch, everything cook at home, all clean stuff, organic, no sugar, no additives. But what caught my attention was that she doesn't like to cook. So I was like, do you make everything from scratch and you cook all 3 meals for all your kids? But then you don't like to cook. So that caught my attention. And I was like, so I start kind of like talking about how when eating, it should be fun, right? And I explained to her that, for kids, it's hard to explain to them something logically. Because what she does is she spent all this time and effort, even though she doesn't like cooking, but she's doing it for some very good reason, right? So she probably is like someone who's very health conscious, want to make sure that everything is healthy for the kids and stuff and things that if I make it, you're supposed to eat it. So that's her expectation. She expects that whatever she makes, the child has to eat it. So, and then it's all for good reason. Not that she's trying to be a mean mom or anything. It's all based on good intention. And I agree with her. Like a lot of the food that she prepares, I was like, there's nothing wrong with the food that you make. But I feel that the food should be healthy, but I think you should be enjoying it too. Because if you're cooking these meals with the feeling that you don't like it, you're putting that negative energy in the meals and the food as well. And then and I start talking about like how when you want a child to eat, you cannot give them logical reason. Because one way she try to get the child to eat is if you don't eat this food, You're not going to grow. You're not going to get this. You're not going to get that. And I was like, well, that kind of reasoning will work really well with an older grown adult, like 30 something years old, having some health problems, and you can negotiate that with an older adult. But with a child, children don't have a logical brain. Young children think with the emotional brain. And what that means is they don't really understand most of the things that you say. They only understands and remembers how you make them feel. So if every time they come to the table, mom spent an hour, 2 hours preparing the meal, and her expectation is that you're gonna sit down here and you're gonna eat everything that I made for you with no questioning. And ideally, you should finish all your meal within an hour or less, right? So the child have all this pressure, and and the thing is, um, so basically for her, is I have to explain that children learn to eat food based on the emotion. So if every time it's like, oh, another thing that caught my attention is she's like, oh yeah, the only reason why he's still growing so fine is because I'm pretty forceful in making her eat. So that's the second thing that caught my attention. Because whenever parents say, oh, I have to force them to eat, or I'm pretty forceful, pushy, that that's telling me that mealtime is not fun for the child or the parents. So I was like, okay, I think I got enough information and I think I know what's going on. Basically, is that this parent just need to change her parenting style about eating a little bit so this child can feel more like himself. Because it's almost like just imagine you go to a restaurant, right? And you're not allowed to choose from the menu. And the cook didn't even ask you what you like. You just come to a restaurant, sit down, and they put whatever food on on your plate in front of you and expect you to eat everything. And they won't let you go if you don't finish all the food. Like, would you keep going to that restaurant? Right? So that's kind of like what happens sometimes when parents try have like unrealistic expectations. And I often explain to parents too, like I get a lot of parents telling me that, oh yeah, my child doesn't like broccoli because they spit it out. I was like, but your child's only 2 years old. When was the last time he or she had broccoli? Right? So when it comes to new food, introducing new food, that's how kids are. They're like, okay, I'll try it, but hmm, I don't like it. So they spit it out. It's just how they are. They're just not very polite when it comes to eating. We know as adults, we're taught that, hey, if you don't like something, you either just swallow it, even though you don't like it, or you spit it on a napkin. But children are like, yo, that's gross. Yeah. They just spit it out. That's how they are. And that's age appropriate. Nothing wrong with that. So but anyway, so I kind of like start talking to her and explain to her that, hey, if you want your child to start eating, maybe start having him help out in the kitchen, have him help you plan out meal planning, picking up like couple meals a week to make, like between him and the older sister, because the other sister is like a 2 year old. And then, and I was like, yeah, have him look through a cookbook. So I gave her a couple suggestions of cookbook, the deceptively delicious and the sneaky chef. So so that way it'll be something that is kid friendly, but then there are hidden vegetables and fruits in it. So at least you're making like a mac and cheese that have cauliflower or brownies with black beans or avocado in. It makes you feel better. But at the same time, your child is also enjoying it. So it's like a pretty good compromise. So she loved the idea. And I was like, yeah, and also just making sure that mealtime is fun, let him have a say. And I know you want to make sure that he eats all the healthy food, but it's also very important that he feels like he have a choice. Maybe instead of asking him an open question like, what do you want? Because when you ask an open question like that, it's like everything in the world is open and available. But I said, how about you just give her 2 or 3 choices for dinner? Like you can have baked chicken or she make fish sticks from scratch too, or something else. So give him three choices that you pre-selected that you feel is good and healthy, and let him pick those from those three choices. So she's like, oh yeah, that's a really good idea. So that way she have control and he has a sense of control as well. So everyone's gonna be happy. Um, and then what else? And I told her, you need to make eating fun because kids will do anything as long as it's fun. Just remember when he was little, or even the 2-year-old sister, they'll pick up garbage on the floor and put it in the mouth. Like, and I was like, the garbage obviously doesn't taste good. Like my food probably, even though I'm not a good cook, I probably can do better. And that's one of the story that was in my book. Like many years ago when my daughter was still little, we actually went back home to Hong Kong and Macau and visit. But on the way back in the airport, we're just waiting for our flight, and my daughter's just running around doing her crazy stuff. And she found a trash can, you know, those trash can with like an ashtray on the top. So she can barely reach the top of the trash can. And she reached her hands up and grabbed something in there from the ashtray. And I saw her put in her mouth. Like you should see the expression on my face. I was like, oh my God. And I tried to get up to get to her and try get that thing out of her mouth, and it was too late. I don't even know what she swallowed. She swallowed something from the trash can. So I was like, okay, let's just hope for the best. And for sure, after we came home 2 days later, she was sick and we have to take her to a doctor. But anyway, the story was that the food doesn't have to be good. It just have to be fun. So if for older kids who can help out in the kitchen, they can wash things, give them a plastic knife to slice up tomatoes, cucumbers, or just tear up like vegetables, just have them help out. You need the help you need anyway. And having your child help in the kitchen also teach them work ethics and also give them a sense of accomplishment or contributing. Like we as parents feel like we have to do everything for our kids. Like, oh, from the time they wake up, we have the breakfast, everything, all the clothes, shoes, all ready for them. It is not. Your child needs to be doing stuff around the house so they're not sitting around watching TV that is filled with food commercial or try to think of, oh, I'm bored doing this. Let's see what's in the kitchen to eat. Give them stuff to do. Kids needs to do things and that helps them build confidence. So yeah, so that's what I have the parents do. Like get them in the kitchen to help. And it's okay if they make a mess, that's how they learn. And kids are supposed to be messy. They're just little human beings with very little experience. Don't expect them to be like Gordon Ramsay, Michelin star. They're gonna make messy stuff, but every mistake that they make, everything that that they don't do well, is a step closer to becoming better and learning more life skills. So so that's kind of what I talked to a mom about, and then something else because she was like taking notes and then she asked me at the end to make her a summary of all the things. So yeah, so basically getting the kids involved in meal planning, going shopping together, preparing food together. Oh, and the other thing, a lot of times parents say, oh yeah, my child helped me in the kitchen making food, but he's like, I don't like it. I was like, that's okay. If he say I don't like that food, just say you don't have to eat it. You're making this for mom and dad. That's it. So that way you take the pressure off of them. Because a lot of times the kids feels like, oh my God, what's the hidden agenda here now? Like she's making me help in the kitchen, making all this gross and disgusting thing. I'm sure she's gonna make me eat this later. But you don't have to eat it. You're just making this for mom and dad and sister or brother or whoever else. If you want it, you're always welcome to try it. But if you don't like it, that's fine too. So that's the other thing is not just try and make eating fun, like they make a huge mess or anything, but it's the environment. The environment, let them know that they have the choice. There's all the food here that is available. And if you like it, you can eat it. If you don't, it's fine too. And the other thing is Another mistakes that parents make a lot of is the child will try a food 1 or 2 times, they don't like it, and they're like, oh yeah, he doesn't like broccoli. So they never offer him broccoli, right? So when you stop offering a food that you try a few times and your child show that they're not interested, what you're teaching your child is that, oh yeah, this is your food and these other food is mom's and dad's food. And that's, I think, was my problem when I was growing up too, because my grandma will always cook like at least five, six, seven dish every meal because there are five of us. And she always put the food that she knows I'll eat in front of me. So I learned that, oh yeah, these two dishes are mine. All the other ones I don't touch. So good thing is I didn't turn out to be a super picky eater. I'm okay picky, but I still eat everything. But that is the thing you're teaching your child. If every meal you don't want to deal with it and just give them the things that you know they'll eat, they'll learn that that's my food and everything else is not my food. So even if it's just a small piece of broccoli, small piece of something, just put it in on the plate. I'm not asking you to give them a huge portion of something. It's like a bite of broccoli, a bite of spinach, or something like that. Just leave it on their plate, and that's it. Nothing complicated. And and I got this a lot from parents, like, oh, I didn't want to keep offering them because I don't like to waste food. Like, you won't go broke by wasting one little flower piece of floret of broccoli or a couple pieces of spinach. And even if you don't want to waste it, you can eat it. It's spinach, it's vegetables, like won't kill you or anything, it'll make you feel better. It's just vegetables that like hardly any calories, but full of nutrients. So yeah, so that's that. So making it fun, having them, giving them options, letting them know that it's okay to say no. And I think, and I want to elaborate a little bit more on that, letting them, allowing them to say no, because I think when with a lot of us growing up, we're not allowed to say no or have our own opinion because we're brought up, or most of our parents is brought up that I'm the parent, you have to listen to everything that I say because you're the child, you don't know what you're doing. And that's actually very hurtful to our personal growth and development. And I've I started studying to become a therapist. So I'm learning a lot of human behavior and stuff. And I realized that when you are growing up in an environment where your voice is not heard or ignored all the time, or what you say is always wrong, it hurts your self-esteem and confidence. Then you grow up to be an adult that who's always quiet, afraid to speak up, because in your mind, you're programmed that my opinion doesn't matter. I'll just shut up. Even though you have a good idea, an amazing idea, but you're afraid to share because your programming is that no one ever listened to me, no one cares about what I say, and everything that I say, they just gonna reject it, right? So that's why it's very important that at mealtime you allow your child to have an option. Give them choices. Let them know that it's okay to say no. It's not the end of the world. And eventually it'll get better. Um, because the thing is, you need to trust me on this. I'm gonna tell you a story soon. Because most parents think that, but if I just let him say no on everything, he's not gonna eat. Then he's gonna starve, and then I'll be a bad parent. No, it's not. You're actually being a good parent, respecting your child's opinion and letting them learn to be a confident adult. Okay, so true story. This is my own story now. Because a lot of times people come to me with the picky eater. They think that, oh yeah, she's the professional. She knows how to fix my child. Then they might think that, oh yeah, it's good that you give me all those advice, but it doesn't work. But it does work. So my daughter has always been a picky eater since she was little, like crazy picky, but not as picky as some of the kids I saw in the feeding clinic. But anyway, I think being a nutritionist, dietitian, I have that extra pressure that I have to make really good, healthy food. And it's like my child has to be like the poster child, eating all the good, healthy, delicious stuff. But unfortunately, that did not happen because my child, first of all, she's really picky. She probably have some sensory issue when she was little, but then as she get older, it never gets better because I didn't know like what those things were when she was little. But anyway, she just hated my eating because I think the pressure of me to feed my child proper food is so intense that I probably transfer some of that anxiousness to our mealtime. So mealtime turns into like pretty much like a screaming battle every meal. It's just horrible. So after like a long time, unfortunately, this lasts almost like 10 years. It's really around when she was 10 years old, I'm the one who threw in the towel. I was like, I can't deal with this anymore. I can't have like crying, screaming every meal. So I just gave up. I was like, you know what? If you want to eat all that junk stuff and all these other things, let's just do it. Because I'm tired of like making all this healthy food and then you're not eating and then screaming and crying. So I basically threw in my towel and just let her eat whatever she does, which is fine. Initially, I kind of cringed, like, oh my gosh, she's eating that. I can't believe she's eating that. So, but after a while, something different, um, something changed because I think because there's no more fighting at mealtime. I eat my own stuff, she eat her own stuff, and then she starts slowly to be more open and curious to what I was making. So I'll be making my own healthy meals. And then she's like, "Oh, mommy, what you eating? Can I try that?" So she tried. She doesn't like everything that I cook. Even to this day, she's like 21 years now. She still thinks that my cooking sucks. Occasionally, I'll get a backhand compliment like, "Oh, your cooking is getting better." But anyway, so she was around 10 years old at that time, and she started being more interested in what I was making. And then I also start teaching her how to cook. I was like, you know what? If you don't like my cooking, maybe you should learn how to make your own food. So she's starting to to learn how to cook her own food. I don't even remember what was the first thing I taught her how to make, but I always make sure I was in the kitchen, watching her, helping her. And she started looking up different recipes. She'll look up recipes online and then she'll give me a list of all the ingredients. So I just go shopping for her, buy all the food, and she'll come and then we come home and she'll make everything. I'll let her cook the whole meal. And I don't say anything. I don't complain about any of the ingredients she used, what she's cooking. She just make the food and then I just eat it. And I was like, I just praised her. I was like, oh wow, that's amazing. You cook these like amazing meals. I really love it. So I just being supportive. I never say anything like, oh, you shouldn't have used that ingredients, or that's too much salt, or that's junk. I just eat it. And I just enjoying that. Wow, she spent all this time make the whole meal for me and I don't have to cook. That's great. So so that's how it started with her, like I think that gives her a sense of more control and feeling that she's being heard, and also makes her feel more confidence and independence, right? Because she's like, oh wow, I can make a whole meal here and my mom enjoy it. So having your child help in the kitchen do more than just letting them have fun, but it builds characters and build confidence and giving them a sense of accomplishment. And like even to this day she eats everything, like she eat raw fish. And then it was funny the other day, I think it was just this summer when she come back home for her summer vacation, she was saying something. Oh, I think, or maybe it was me talking to her on the phone. I told her, oh yeah, I just went to Whole Food and try get some chicken liver because I want to make chicken liver at home. So that's kind of something, kind of a special thing that I make at home because I used to love liver when I was little. I know some of you might not like it, but that's what I was telling her, and then she's like, "Oh, is it the one that you make it with onions?" So most kids, when they hear chicken liver or any kind of liver, they're like, "Oh my god, that's so gross! That's so disgusting." But she's like, "Oh yeah, I remember trying that once. I really want to try it because it smells so good when you're cooking it." but I just can't like it. Like, so she did try the chicken liver, but I think she really didn't like the taste. And I was like, it's okay, but she tried it. And I was like, oh wow. So yeah, I guess whatever I did, it helped relieving that what the tension around eating.